Beneath the battlegrounds of the Vietnam War, there is a series of secret tunnels that reshaped the Vietnam War. Why did these tunnels play an important role in the war? This video will help you understand the strange tactics used by the Vietnamese that forced America to withdraw its troops and how the United States lost thousands of soldiers. The Vietcong tunnels were a complex network of underground passages that played a crucial role in the conflict involving the Vietcong, North Vietnamese troops, and American forces during the 1960s. These tunnels weren't just a response to the necessities of war. They were a true symbol of human resourcefulness and determination. These underground passages served multiple purposes. Firstly, they offered a safe haven from the American firepower. Realizing that they couldn't match the strength of the U.S. military in open battles, the Vietcong chose covert tactics. The tunnels provided perfect cover, allowing them to operate secretly and launch surprise attacks on American troops. Secondly, the tunnels eased the movement of supplies and personnel. In a war where resources were scarce, the ability to transport food, ammunition, and reinforcements discreetly was a strategic advantage. These tunnels acted as a lifeline for the Vietcong and enabled them to sustain their insurgency over an extended period. The tunnels were also strategically located, often stretching from the outskirts of Saigon to the Cambodian border, covering extensive areas. This extensive network allowed the Vietcong to maintain a presence in regions that might otherwise have been inaccessible due to American military control. It formed a complex web that surrounded American forces, making it challenging for them to predict or unpredictable Vietcong movements. During American bombing campaigns, the importance of tunnels became evident. B-52 bombers dropped 30-ton loads of high explosives in futile attempts to breach the tunnels. The tough composition of the soil, a mix of old alluvial lateritic soils rich in iron oxides and mud, made the tunnels nearly impervious to such attacks. When dry, this soil became as hard as cement, effectively shielding the Vietcong from the devastation caused by aerial bombardments. The depth of these tunnels was equally impressive, ranging from 1.5 meters to an astonishing 20 meters below the surface. Not only provided protection from aerial assaults, but also posed a significant challenge for American soldiers attempting to infiltrate them. These tunnels were often referred to as an underground city due to their complex and compartmentalized design. One standout aspect of these tunnels was their careful construction. They weren't just straight tunnels, they intentionally zigzagged, with angles ranging from 60 to 120 degrees. This wasn't random. It was a smart response to the kinds of threats the Vietcong expected. This zigzag design absorbed the impact of explosives like hand grenades, preventing their damage from spreading throughout the tunnel network. The tunnels also had many trapdoors and hidden chambers, making their design more complex. These trapdoors had several uses. They stopped poison gas from spreading, something American forces tried to use to flush out Vietcong soldiers. The slow airflow at the bottom of the tunnels also kept the gas confined to small areas. Moreover, strategically placed trapdoors served as ambush points. The Vietcong used these hidden spots for surprise attacks on American soldiers trying to enter the tunnels. The narrow dimensions of the tunnels, typically measuring 0.6 to 1.2 meters wide and 0.8 to 1.6 meters high, made things even tougher for American soldiers. Regular-sized American soldiers found it almost impossible to move through these tight spaces. This deliberate design made it very challenging for tunnel rats, American soldiers assigned to get into and clear tunnels, to do their job effectively. Another key aspect of the tunnel design was their hidden entrances. The Vietcong covered tunnel entrances with boards, making them blend in with the surroundings. These boards were made to feel like the ground when stepped on, thanks to wax and sponge rubber coatings. Elevated entrances also helped with ventilation, kept the tunnels from flooding in heavy rains, and acted as protection against fire and chemical attacks. The entrances were often hidden in remote places, away from well-traveled paths, to reduce the risk of detection by enemy patrols. In some cases, tunnel entrances were even hidden inside houses. The Vietcong understood that American soldiers were unlikely to enter civilian homes. These hidden entrances served as both escape routes and opportunities for ambush. One Vietcong soldier would act as bait, drawing American pursuers toward the entrance, only to disappear underground while others waited in hiding. The Vietcong created entrances and exits in rivers known only to themselves. These hidden access points allowed them to stay mobile and maintain the element of surprise. Food and water were hard to come by. To survive, the Vietcong had to make the most of what they had. They often procured food from local farms under the cover of night to keep their activities hidden from the enemy. Additionally, they got their water from wells dug deep beneath the tunnels to ensure it remained uncontaminated by chemicals sprayed on the surface. Inside the tunnels, they had a makeshift kitchen for cooking meals without drawing attention. Smoke vents and clever concealment among thick grasses kept the signs of cooking from escaping above ground. This covert cooking operation was vital for keeping the soldiers nourished and in good spirits. One interesting feature was their ability to generate electricity using bicycle generators. These clever devices provided power for lighting and basic electronic equipment. They served practical purposes and also offered soldiers some entertainment, with cinemas in the tunnels providing a brief escape from the relentless wartime conditions. Medical facilities were also present deep within the tunnels, including infirmaries stocked with medicines for treating injured soldiers. Adequate ventilation ensured patients could breathe properly, and there was a small infirmary on the second level for those who weren't critically wounded. Their sleeping arrangements were equally ingenious. Soldiers slept on hammocks made for repurposed American soldiers' parachutes. These hammocks were strategically placed on the second or third levels, out of reach of tunnel rats tasked with infiltrating and clearing the tunnels. The Vietcong tunnels were more than just hiding spots. They were strongholds filled with crafty defensive tactics and clever traps meant to confuse and deter their enemies. One of the most infamous elements of these defenses was the punji pit. These hidden pits, often placed near tunnel entrances or spider holes, posed a serious threat to anyone who stumbled upon them. With their dangerous depth and plenty of punji sticks, these traps put intruders at risk of injury or worse. Scorpions, concealed in a hole covered with a board rigged with a tripwire, served as an unusual yet effective weapon. When an enemy triggered the tripwire, the scorpions would emerge, delivering a painful and venomous sting. This not only caused immediate harm, but also worked as a warning system, alerting the Vietcong to intruders. There were other cunning traps waiting inside the tunnels. Hidden nooks, thinly covered with dry mud, allowed Vietcong soldiers to observe approaching American troops through small holes. When the enemy got close, the Vietcong would strike, setting up a deadly ambush. Narrow manholes posed another challenge for American soldiers trying to navigate the tunnels. On the other side, Vietcong soldiers armed with weapons waited, ready to engage intruders in close-quarters combat. Inside the tunnels, a green pit viper was placed atop a wooden stick or bamboo. It served two purposes. If an enemy failed to notice it and got too close, the viper could deliver a venomous bite. Additionally, the snake acted as an alarm system. When disturbed, it would alert the Vietcong to the presence of intruders. In certain parts of the tunnels, the Vietcong set even more deadly traps. These traps included grenade triggers without safety pins or delay elements. A simple touch or disturbance of the trigger wire would set off an immediate explosion, turning the tunnels into death traps for the unwary. The Vietcong tunnels had a significant impact on the Vietnam War, changing how the conflict played out and causing heavy casualties among American forces. The Vietcong disrupted American military operations. The tunnels created a constantly shifting maze that made it hard for American soldiers to predict or counter Vietcong movements. American troops found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to vanish without a trace. We can't ignore the psychological impact of tunnel warfare. American soldiers not only had to deal with the physical threat of the tunnels, but also the constant fear of ambush from below. This psychological stress made American troops feel helpless and vulnerable. These underground strongholds became a symbol of Vietcong determination and resistance, showing their unwavering commitment to their cause. In 1973, the United States withdrew its troops from Vietnam, marking the end of a lengthy and challenging conflict. The tunnels, with their strong design and defensive tactics, played a significant role in this outcome. They added to the overall story of an insurgency that, despite facing overwhelming odds, persevered, and ultimately achieved its goals.